name of kaftan comes from a Persian word meaning a long coat of clothing. The style used and name of kaftan was changed according to the time, place and rules of an area. Nowadays, kaftan, or more unknown in Malaysia is baju kelawar, is one of the garment that is synonyms for woman. The comfortable kaftan becomes standard dress for all. Kaftan in this period could have long and short sleeve, depending on individual taste.
The origin of kaftan.
From its origin in Mesopotamia, the kaftan style spread to other countries. The introduction and production of batik maybe the influence the use of kaftan in Malaysia.
Okay, now, where and when we wear the kaftan? Before that, my name is Rabiatul Adawiyah binti Afendi and my metric number is D201910888498. Here, I will explain about the usage of the kaftan. The style, use and name of kaftans vary from culture to culture. In some culture, the kaftans have become a symbol of royalty. Syrian, Bedouin chief and sheikh use kaftan as a winter jacket. Even in Russian, the kaftans was worn for a long time regardless of its status. And it was used as the national garment in various places until the early 20th century. Next, the kaftan also used as a gift. The kaftan is a special garment given by the Sultan as a gift to high official and foreign ambassadors in the Ottoman courts. It shows that the kaftan made for political gain, namely to be given to the ambassadors and other important guests. Besides, the kaftan also used to differentiate the position of the Sultan. The Sultan kaftan's dress is a silk fabric with a beautiful pattern and with long sleeve. The sultans of officials in Turkey generally like kaftan with bright colors and decorated with many ribbons or buttons that look luxurious. It is used as a way to show their influence and position. In areas with warm climates, the kaftan is worn as a light, loose clothing. The kaftan is often worn as a coat or as an overdress, usually having long sleeves and reaching to the ankles. This fashion is widely distributed in Central Asian and Middle Eastern countries. By the 1950s and early 1960s, this style of clothing began to emerge to a new identity that was updated to be more modern oriental. Because of that, now the woman can wear the kaftan, which is named as loose evening dress. Unlike the kaftan worn by men in the Middle East, evening dresses are seen to look more feminine and more stylish. Taking the main feature of kaftan, which is full sleeves and wide neck, this kaftan dress is starting to be accepted by more sections of society. In Malaysia, the kaftan was widely commercialized with the influence of batik that we can see in Kelantan, Terengganu, Malacca, and Sarawak. The shape of the kaftan that we use is a rectangular. These are the measurement of the kaftan that we investigate. The width of the kaftan is 104.5 cm, while the height is 105 cm.
Now, let us see what is the geometrical shapes formed on the motif of the kaftan. The shape that is found on the motif of the kaftan is a rectangle, where it is assumed that the rectangle is rotated to form that kind of shape. Next, there is a large rhombus found in the motif of the kaftan. Plus, there are kite shape, irregular pentagon, and right trapezoid also found in the motif of the kaftan. Moving on to the concept of geometry related to the motif of the kaftan. Firstly, a rectangle is a four-sided polygon with a base and width that have a difference in length. For the rectangle shape, it has a base length of 0.8 cm and altitude length of 0.3 cm. It has an equal interior angles which is 90 degrees each. The formula of area of rectangles are A equals to BH, where B is the base length of rectangle and H is the altitude length of rectangle. So, we substitute the values obtained into the formula and we get 0.24 cm square. Next, rhombus is a parallelogram with opposite sides are parallel and opposite angles are equal. All the sides of rhombus have an equal length. Based on the kaftan, the interior angles of the rhombus on the motifs are 80 degree and 100 degree respectively. The sum of interior angles of the rhombus for the kaftan is 360 degree, which is same with the concept of geometry, where four-sided polygons have a total of interior angles of 360 degree. The area of the rhombus is half of the product of the diagonals formed on the rhombus, which is A equals to 1/2 d1 d2, where d1 is equals to 5.2 cm and d2 is 4.2 cm. Substitute these values into the formula and we get 10.92 cm squared. A kite is a quadrilateral with two pairs of congruent adjacent sides. Based on the kaftan, the interior angles formed on the kite is 50 degree, 90 degree and 110 degree respectively. The total interior angles formed on the kite of the kaftan is 360 degree, which is same with the concept of geometry, where four-sided polygons have the total interior angles of 360 degree. The area of kite is given by half of the product of diagonals formed on the kite, which is A equals to 1/2 d1 d2, where d1 is equals to 0.8 cm and d2 is equals to 0.6 cm. Substitute these values into the formula and we get 0.24 cm squared. Trapezoid is a quadrilateral that has one pair of opposite parallel sides. The trapezoid in the motif of the kaftan is right trapezoid. The angles formed on the trapezoid of the motif of the kaftan is 130 degree, 50 degree and 90 degree respectively. The total interior angles of the trapezoid in the kaftan is 360 degree, which is same as the concept of geometry, where four-sided polygons have a total interior angles of 360 degree. The area of the trapezoid is given by half of the product of the total of length of base and the altitude of length h, where it is equals to 1/2 h b1 plus b2, where h is equals to 0.4 cm, b1 is equals to 0.3 cm and b2 is equals to 0.8 cm. Substitute these values into the formula area of trapezoid and we get 0.22 cm squared. Lastly, the pentagon in the motif of the kaftan is an irregular pentagon because it does not have equal side length and angle measure. The interior angles formed on the irregular pentagon on the motif of the kaftan is 90 degree and 135 degree respectively. The total interior angles of the motif are 540 degree, same as the concept of geometry, which state that five-sided polygon have a total interior angles of 540 degree. To find the area of an irregular pentagon, we must separate the pentagon into different shapes to make it easier to calculate. Based on the motif of the pentagon, we separate the pentagon into two shapes, which is triangle ABE and rectangle BCDE. Then, find the altitude length of the triangle by using tangent 45 degree equals to 0.25 cm over h and we get 0.15 cm. To find the area of triangle ABE, we must first find the semi-perimeter of the triangle, which is S equals to 1/2 A plus B plus C. The values of A is 0.4 cm, B is 0.4 cm and C is 0.5 cm. Substitute these values into the equation of S equals to 1/2 A plus B plus C and we get 0.65 cm. Then, to find the area of triangle ABE, we must know the formula of the area, which is A equals to the square root of S multiplied by S minus A, multiplied by S minus B, and multiplied by S minus C. Substitute the values of semi-perimeter, which is 0.65, and the values of A, B, and C into the formula of area, and we get 0.078 cm squared. Then, to find the area of rectangle BCDE, we use the formula A equals to BH, where the base length is equals to 0.5 cm and the altitude length is equals to 0.6 cm. Substitute these values into the formula area of rectangle and we get 0.3 cm squared. Lastly, combine the two areas of the shape triangle ABE and rectangle BCDE and we get 0.378 cm squared.
Transformations can be found on this kaftan motif, forming numerous patterns. Transformations that we found are reflection, rotation, and magnification. Based on Wisconsin 2015 states that a transformation is a general term for 4 specific ways to manipulate the shape or position of a point, a line, or geometric figure. The original shape of the object is called the object, and the final shape and position of the object is the image under the transformation. Firstly, we found a reflection. In geometry, a reflection is known as a flip. A reflection is a mirror image of the shape. A line called the line of reflection will allow an image to reflect through it. Every point in a figure is said to be at an equal distance from every corresponding point in another figure when it is said that one figure is a mirror of the other. The reflected image should have the same shape and size, but the image faces in opposite direction. Trapezoid form horizontal and vertical reflection at the line of the reflection as shown in Figure 1 and Figure 2 respectively. Rhombus and polyhedron form reflection at the line of the reflection as shown in Figure 3 and 4 respectively. Next, rotation of a rectangle. A rotation is a transformation that turns a figure about a fixed point called the center of the rotation. An object and its rotation are the same shape and size, but the figures may be turned in different direction. The rectangle is rotated in a clockwise direction from the pattern of the kaftan. We found rotation 90 degrees of the rectangle. The shape of rectangle, kite, rhombus, irregular pentagon, and right trapezoid combine as motif to form a concave polyhedron, whereas the combination of two rhombus and two concave polyhedra forms a bigger rhombus. And lastly, there are magnification of rhombus. The magnification of small rhombus form a larger rhombus and they form beautiful patterns of the kaftan. Two rhombus combine to form a larger rhombus with magnification of 2, which is from 7 cm to 14 cm.
A few years back, someone told us that the kaftan was made using geometrical shapes. Would we have trusted them in the first of all? Ask yourself kindly. My answer is wouldn't have been. I trusted them. But the bitter truth is there is geometrical shapes in each and every pattern and motif of the kaftans. The influence of economic, political, and religious and socio-cultural conditions on fashion is evident from the study of the use and development of kaftan. Influences of the early kaftan on American fashions were very evident. The comfortable kaftan became a standard dress for all. However, a few changes have been made which altered the appearance of kaftan considerably. Shall we now move into the summary of this report that we gained? In this report, we investigate the kaftan that is related to geometrical shapes and concept from Part A. We find some details regarding the kaftan such as the history of location of origin, size, function, and suitable pictures. The origin of kaftan is Mesopotamia. The style used and name of kaftan vary from culture to culture, such as in some culture, kaftan represents the royalty, whereas Ottoman courts, kaftan is a special garment given by Sultan as a gift to high officials and foreign ambassadors. Size of kaftan is 104.5 cm width and 105 cm height. In Part B, we investigate thoroughly all geometrical shapes contributing garments of kaftan. The shapes we found from kaftan are rectangle, rhombus, right trapezoid, kite, and irregular pentagon. we made a relationship between the measure of kaftan and the concept of geometry by finding the volume, area, angle, and the surface area of the kaftan. From this task, we have learned on how geometry helps us to design and create patterns based on existing geometrical shapes. We thoroughly investigate all the geometrical shapes contributing garments to kaftan pattern shape. Other than that, we managed to understand that the geometry helps us to visualize where we can imagine how many geometrical shapes and how they convert them into patterns for the kaftan garments. Lastly, we have to think logically and mathematically in order to create a motif suitable for the size of kaftans by calculating the volume and the area of the geometrical shapes accordingly.